Hi guys, I've got another amazing book recommendation for you, and this is actually a book that sounds very different and quite very impressive to me because I love and enjoy reading books in every genres of literature, and this is actually a book that I love to consider under Christian literature actually, and it's titled The Impact of Sexual Indiscretion in the Church at Large by Marty M. Alston. And I've been following Marty M. Alston's work for quite a lot of time now. I've read his first novel. I think I can find it somewhere here. I've read his first novel that I have here, I'm a Man, When It Isn't Your Fault, Rise to Cover and Leave. However, reading this new release sounded very amazing to me because it touched on a topic that I think most people do not like talking about, and this is the impact of sexual indiscretion in the church at large. From the title, one can perceive that this is a book meant for people in the church, for Christians, but I wouldn't love to consider it too much of a book that is particularly actually meant for Christians. It's actually meant for Christians anyway, but then to my own perception, I don't think it is only meant for Christians because the issues, the things, and the point that Marty M. Alston talked about in his book, it's something that pertains to everybody, that pertains to human generally. Sex is a part of life, and most people do it the wrong way. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't love to consider the book typically like it's only meant for Christians. It's a book that can be read by everyone, irrespective of your religion, your background, and your belief. But then, reading through Marty M. Alston's The Impact of Sexual Indiscretion in the Church at Large, it's very amazing to me because this is something that is very predominant and rampant in the contemporary church today. You get to see about vices in the church, about a particular leader doing this to another, maybe a congregation or someone among the choirists and all of that. Marty actually is a minister, and I think he has observed these issues in the Christian fold and decided he was going to write a book about it. Actually, this review is actually going to be me sharing my thought, my ideas. I won't be going too much into the book, unlike I'm reading stories in novels or interpreting lyrics in poetry. This book actually falls into a different classic of literature. My review of it is going to be concise, and also I would restrict from giving too much away, just so you can have an idea of what Marty M. Alston conveyed in its new release. In the beginning pages or chapters of this book, Marty M. Alston introduces us to the importance of accountability. This is something that I think most people, or a trait, a feature and characteristics that I think most people need to have. Most people don't love to be held accountable for some certain things that happen here or there. And as such, Marty was keen enough to point out the importance, the necessity of accountability in the church. Not only in the church actually, among leadership position, among people who are in a particular position or rule over certain people, there is need for accountability. And Marty does this in a very concise and impressive manner, which really piqued my interest while I read through the book. In my perception, the book conveys quite a lot of ethics, morals, that would help quite a lot of people out there. And I would love to say I love Marty's endearing emphasis on the importance of accountability. The book also continues talking about the importance of being one another's keeper. Then it unfolds on the importance of keeping quality friendship. This fall under how to avoid sexual indiscretion in the church. That's the sort of friendship that you keep, sort of people that you make friends would influence you drastically in terms of the decision taking, in terms of the step you take, in terms of the places you go to, and all of that. I really love and admire Marty's description of this part, the part of choosing one's friends wisely. It really speaks to me actually, and some pages actually are the type that corrects you, the type that rebukes you, the types that instruct you, the types that guide you through. This is the part you should go. This is how you should make it be. Reading the book, feel as if I was listening to a sermon. It feels as if I was listening to an information, and some parts are very amazing that I love. So I can't convey actually all of the information conveyed in the book in my review, but then I'd love to consider this book as the one that I love most in Marty's writing so far. I've read I'm a Man, which of course was fine, but this really piqued my interest because I love the content. It's a type that you read and you keep thinking over and over again long after you've read it. You keep mulling, oh yeah, I love the point, and so on and so forth. Nowadays, actually, I'm the type that I love restricting from examples when giving reviews, stuff like that. Even in my own writing, I try my possible best to restrict from giving examples. But then I love to ship this in that in the church today, not all in the church, because like I said, I don't like giving example, but then from what we've seen so very much, apart from Marty wrote this book from America, and I read it as a Nigerian, and most of the things that was written in the book got me remember some of the things that happen in Nigeria. So it resonates and it conveys some certain fact, because apart from the example, yeah, good, they also mention some example in the past of those people who have been involved in sexual indiscretion, sexual scandals, even as a pastor, as a bishop in the church, and how they were able to navigate through it. Then there are other cases actually here in Nigeria of you finding a supposed pastor involving in some silly things with the congregation and all of that. It's very rampant. You hear some, you'll be like, oh my God, that's crazy. You hear another one, you'll be like, I don't think that man can do that. But then it really makes for an interesting discussion, because I am not trying to judge, and Matt is not trying to judge actually. I think one of the aim of this book is to help leaders in the church, and not only leaders, like I said earlier on. This is not only a book that is meant for Christians, it's meant for everybody, everyone who decides to live an ethical life, everyone who decides to live a life of moral, everyone who decides to be a good source of reputation to other people. So going back to that, one of the aim the Matt seek to communicate here is to allow people to be informed about the importance of these things, about the effect of sexual indiscretion. So again, Marty also talks about the effect of this sexual indiscretion in the church at large. And I love some of the points that he makes, that this does not only affect the victims involved. Okay, when you say a particular denomination, a particular leader, a particular founder of a certain congregation was involved in something like this, we are all human beings and we are bound to make mistakes. No one is perfect, but then we are all bound to make mistakes. But then I think what Marty is trying to communicate here is to give information, because I read of a part, he mentioned that we should try and educate people on the effect of these things in the church, the stigma that it brings to not only the person involved, not only the victim, but to the congregation, to the name of the body of Christ, and the stigma that it sort of creates in the church, or in that denomination, or in that locality, and both national and international level. So Marty tried his very best in his writing to try to communicate the effect of sexual indiscretion, how we can control it, how we can curb it, the need for education, the need for people to be aware of this. And again, most importantly, I love the fact that he mentioned some solution, some healing mechanism for anyone who might have been involved in a sexual scandal. Sometimes, once people look out to you as a leader, they expect the very best from you. Well, we all know that we are all human beings, and that's why the fact that we look up to a certain person as a pastor, we should know that this is actually where I think temptation would love to come in. And I think Matt mentioned the need to restrict temptation by controlling our thoughts, by controlling the sort of media information that we get to watch, because the media has failed us actually, even in terms of comedy, in terms of films, display, movies, the sort of things being showed not only to everybody, but even to the young people, could corrupt the soul of men and lead them doing things that are outside of God's will. And yeah, Marty was so keen in mentioning this point. And let me go back to the point I was trying to mention earlier on. We all know that, once a person is placed in the position of leader, most people look up to that person in terms of advice, seeking advice, in terms of he or she being a role model. And as such, when such kind of person fall into temptation or is involved in something terrible, it instantly becomes the talk of the town. And negative news spreads fast like anything compared to the positive ones. One that would tarnish someone's image. Human beings will try their best to push it out forward. And as such, I think this book was directed to victims of this act, like how to heal long after you've had your name roll in mold of shame, humiliation, reproach, people saying this. You go out there, it even impacts your family. They'll be like, oh, that's the younger brother of that man who was involved in that act that day, or that is a mother, or that is a brother, or that's a sister. It did not only affect the victim, it also brings shame to the family of the victim. And as such, one of the things that I sort of pick out in Marty's writing, and that's one of the reasons why I love to consider the book as a writing or a work of research that is not only made for Christians. Because while other people have their mess being showed up publicly, there are some human beings who would even stand to criticize them. And if you are to look at their own mess, the things they do in secret, you'll be like, oh my God, that's much more terrible. So I kind of consider this book as a reminder for caution, a reminder for watchfulness, a reminder for being careful of our deeds, of our action, of our doings, of the place we go, and the need to resist temptation and all of that. I kind of think it this way, that while other people in high position, in a leadership position, when people are looking up to as role models, fall into temptation or fall into sexual scandal, and they become the talk of the town, most people who would stand to criticize them also have their own secret things that they are doing that it's even much more, if you are to reveal it, difficult, much terrible than those that they are criticizing. So by this, I love to consider this as a general reminder, not only to those people involved in sexual scandal, to those people involved in sexual indiscretion, but to everyone. Is a call, a general call for watchfulness, a general call for being careful, a general call for being watchful. Actually, when I read through the book, at some certain point, I was singing alongside as some thought of it, some content reminded me of some songs in time past. Then Marty goes on to talk about the importance of prayer. As a spiritual philosopher, I could resonate with most of the things that was talked about in this book. And it had been nodding in my head. I was like, oh wow, this is beautiful. That's a great information. I love this. So, I wouldn't love to give much away. Just want to give a short video book recommendation for you to have an idea of what Marty M. Alston has had to communicate in this new release. It's very awesome. It's amazing. And I so much recommend it to lovers of Christian literature and to other people who love to scale up their moral skill, who love to scale up their attitude, their discipline, and all of that. So, if you'd love to get a copy of this book, I left a link in the description part of this review for you to get a copy directly on Amazon. And thank you so much for watching my short video book recommendation of Marty M. Alston's The Impact of Sexual Indiscretion in the Church at Large. Thank you very much, and see you in my next video. Goodbye.